Hey, hi students, how are you all? Today we are back to see the second part of federalism. In our first part, we talk about the definition of federalism, then we discuss about two types of federalism, coming together federalism and holding together federalism. Then we also saw what are the key features of federalism, and in that we have seen that there are seven key features as a representation are presented in our book. Okay, so that we all have finished. Now, when we say a federal country, so what is the exactly meaning of federalism and a federal country that you know very well now. So now we will see in this part that which things are there in India that they make India a federal country. So when we talk about this, the first system that make India a federal country, that is a list system. What is that system? Let's talk about. As you know very well, central there is a sharing of power between central government and state government. So when this power sharing is going on, at such a point, we have to decide first which departments should be given to whom, whether it will be fall in state list or in uh, union list. Okay, so in last part we have seen that we have shared some power. Some power is given to central government and some power is given to state government. But exactly which kind of power, which departments are allotted, who has got which kind of department, so that also should be clear. So that we will see now. In union list you can see it is a list one, regulation and development of interstate rivers, then railways, defense and atomic energy, etc. And state list, all matters related to water subject to provision of union list. So when we talk about this, you will come to know that in union list many departments are there, because in our last lecture we discussed about it, that where there is a holding together federalism, there central power has maximum power, central government has maximum power, whereas state government they have less power than central government. So which departments are there where only central government can make laws, and that is banking, all our defense system, navy, army and air force, then all the things related to banking, then currency, then foreign affairs, then railway system, then interstate rivers, then atomic energy. All these things they are handled by union list. Okay. Now, what is a state list? State list means where only state can make rules and regulations. So some departments have been given for the state, and they are agriculture, then land, public order, or we can say police department also. So you can see Delhi has separate police department, Maharashtra has separate police department, UP police. In this way, every state has authority to maintain their police department, and it is in the hands of only state to make the laws related to police department. Okay, then concurrent list. In concurrent list, those departments come which where state government and union government they both can make the laws, or only central government can't make the law, or only state government they can't make the law. Means mutually they have to discuss with each other, they have to take the ideas from each other, and then they have to decide. Then there can be a question in your mind, but sometimes if it happens that there is a conflict between state government and central government, they are not coming to the harmony to a specific point, then what to do? Then in such a condition, the decision taken by the central government it prevails. Okay, so in this way concurrent list. So which departments come in this category? That is electricity, forest, economic and social planning. So in this way, this three list system is the backbone of our federal system. But still, there is one list which is not mentioned here. Just imagine when our constitutionals they were making the constitution. At that time, computer technology was not there, internet was not there, www website was not there, then genetics was not that much developed, then space technology was also not that much developed, then nanotechnology. So all these things they came afterwards. So who will make the rules and regulations for them? That's a big question again, isn't it? So there is a fourth list, but it is not considered in this three list. Huh? That is separate list and it is called residuary list. So all the departments which not mentioned clearly in our constitution that who will make the laws for them, they fall in the residuary list and union government has right to make the laws for them. Clear? So this is what about the list system. That is the first thing which make India a federal country. Now second provision which make India a federal country, that is Article 370 and Article 35A. First of all, we'll understand the history behind it. You must be knowing about it first thing that Jammu and Kashmir, this state has a special provision. Which kind of special provision? Let me tell you. They have their separate constitution, first thing. Second, they have their own flag. Third, if any person from India, any part of India, but not the resident of Jammu and Kashmir, if he wants to visit Jammu and Kashmir, he can go, but he can't be the resident of Jammu and Kashmir. But if the person from Jammu and Kashmir he comes to India, any part of India, then he can reside in, he can buy the property, any part of India. But from Maharashtra or from Arunachal Pradesh or from Jammu or from Uttar Pradesh, if any person goes to Jammu and Kashmir and if he wants to buy land there, then he can't do that. Okay, so in this way we have given them some specific provision. They also have their different election system. So you will understand this. So this is what Article 370 and Article 35A. But why this? To understand this, we have to go back in history. Okay? तो चलो पहले मैं आपको हिस्ट्री बताता हूँ इसके बारे में. थोड़ी सी हिस्ट्री जानेंगे तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि एग्जैक्टली ये इशू क्या है. 1947 में जब हम आज़ाद हुए, आज़ाद होने के बाद हमारे इंडिया में छोटे छोटे स्टेट्स थे. कोई कहता है 562, कोई कहता है 565. तो इसमें से 3 स्टेट ऐसे थे, जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, जूनागढ़ एंड हैदराबाद, जो कि बहुत ही स्ट्रांग ऐसे स्टेट्स थे. बाकी सारे स्टेट्स को हमारे सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल ने एक साथ लाया था. उनको एक इंडिया में हम पूरे इन सारे यूनिट्स का मिला के एक बड़ा इंडिया, बिग इंडिया बनाएंगे, ऐसा उनको उनको सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल ने बताया. तो सारे स्टेट इसमें शामिल होते हैं, लेकिन ये 3 स्टेट ऐसे थे जो इसमें आने के लिए तैयार नहीं थे. तो हम 2 स्टेट के बारे में बात नहीं करेंगे, हम डायरेक्टली बात करेंगे जम्मू एंड कश्मीर के बारे में. उस वक्त जम्मू एंड कश्मीर के राजा थे राजा हरि सिंह. ही वॉज अ हिंदू और वहाँ की जो पॉपुलेशन वो मैक्सिमम मुस्लिम थे. तो वो ना इंडिया में आना चाहते थे और ना वो पाकिस्तान में जाना चाहते थे. वो एक अलग अपनी आइडेंटिटी बना के रखना चाहते थे. इसमें उनका डर ये था कि अगर हम इंडिया में जाते हैं तो हमारी आइडेंटिटी मेंटेन नहीं की जाएगी और हम पाकिस्तान में जाते हैं तो वहां पे भी हम पाकिस्तान का एक पार्ट बन जाएंगे, हमारी स्पेसिफिक आइडेंटिटी नहीं रहेगी. इस डर की वजह से इन लोगों ने दोनों तरफ जाना मंजूर नहीं किया. फिर ऐसे वक्त 1948 में पाकिस्तान जम्मू एंड कश्मीर के ऊपर अटैक करता है ताकि जम्मू एंड कश्मीर पाकिस्तान का पार्ट बने. ऐसे वक्त जम्मू एंड कश्मीर इंडिया से मदद मांगता है, भारत से मदद मांगता है कि आप हमें बचाने के लिए आ जाओ। तब सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल अपनी कंडीशन सामने रखते हैं कि अगर आप हमारी मदद चाहते हो तो आपको इंडिया में आना पड़ेगा। और फाइनली कुछ दिनों के बाद वेट करने तक वहां के राजा हरि सिंह वो तैयार हो जाते हैं और इंडिया में आ जाते हैं। इसके आगे जम्मू एंड कश्मीर के कुछ कंडीशंस होते हैं, जो जम्मू एंड कश्मीर भारत में आने के लिए तैयार है, लेकिन हमारे ये कंडीशंस है जो अभी मैंने आपको बताया कि कोई भी इंडियन आके यहाँ पे रिसाइड नहीं कर सकता वगैरह वगैरह। तो फाइनली इन सारे टर्म्स को एक्सेप्ट किया जाता है और उनके आइडेंटिटी को बनाए रखने के लिए टेम्पररी, प्लीज कीप दिस वर्ड इन योर माइंड, all these provisions they were temporary. So temporary all these rights were given to Jammu and Kashmir, and finally to retain their identity we gave them these provisions. Okay, and finally we brought them in India. So this is what about Article 370. So all these rights we had given them, but now all the now Jammu and Kashmir is the part of India only. So all the rules and regulations which are applicable to everyone, to other states, they are applicable to Jammu and Kashmir also. So this is what about 370 and Article 35A, but now it is abolished. Huh? Then Union Territories. What is Union Territory? Union Territory means such a territory which is so small that we can't make it as a state. So we call it Union Territory. It is neither the part of any state nor it is a specific state. So directly central government maintains law and order there, and everything, all the things are maintained and operated by central government. So they are called union territories. So they are 9 now. Earlier they were 7. Now it is 9. So which are those 9 union territories? You will tell me. Okay, just find about it. Chalo, fine. So in short, we have given the right or some power to Jammu and Kashmir, which was temporary, so that their identity will be retained. Now we will come to third specific feature of federalism of India. That is, this power sharing is constitutionally guaranteed and nobody can change it unilaterally. You have to take the permission of state government also. Only then the central government can change it. So changes in power sharing is not easy to be done. It is a long and time consuming process. For making any changes, a bill has to be made first, then passed through both the houses of parliament. Then when if the bill should pass with the majority of the members of Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha, then after the complete passing and authorization, changes can be made in the power sharing arrangements through amendments in the constitution. We have to modify the constitution, and when these changes are to be made, the public citizens of India, they also should be notified. Then how will they be notified? Through media, through newspaper, through news channels, and their suggestions will be taken into consideration, and then it will be finalized by President of India. So in this way, changing this system is very difficult, very difficult. Okay, so we don't change it actually. Okay, chalo fine. So this is what make India a federal country. And now the fourth part, that is a court. What is the role of court in federalism? It is very important to understand first. So you know very well, there are three pillars of every democracy: legislature, executive, and judiciary. So first, what is legislature? Legislature means parliament, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. People are elected, they come to parliament, they discuss there, they make the laws. So they legislate the law. Legislate the law means they make the laws. Okay. So legislature, they come in parliament, they sit in parliament, they make the law, they contest election. So all these activity they come in legislature. They make the law. But once the law is made, it must be implemented. Then whose duty it is to implement the law? This is the duty of government officers, and that is executive. This is the duty of executives to maintain the law, to implement the law. Okay, so they execute the law. That's why they are called executives. Okay, but just imagine now. Then what is the role of judiciary? Just imagine, executive, they have a lot of power, and legislature, they themselves make the law, so they also have a lot of power. But just imagine, by using their power, if a common man is being tortured or being absorbed, or his fundamental rights are not taken into consideration, then where they should complain, isn't it? In many movies you might have seen, political leader, they have given the bribe to the executives, or we can say many times it is police officer. So let's take the example of police officer. So many times they bribe the police officer, means police officer is from executive line and the political leader is from legislature line. So they both are together and a common man is being tortured. So where he should go? He will go to the court. So this is the role of court. They will interpret the law. Means if political leader or any person from executive line, if they are manipulating the law, it is the duty, it is the right of the court to reinterpret it. Means what exactly that law says. This is the duty of court to understand that. For example, I would like to give you the example of Kanhaiya Kumar. Okay, हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कहता है कि हर एक को राइट ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन है, राइट ऑफ स्पीच है, मतलब आप स्पीच दे सकते हो, आपके खुद के विचार एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हो, ये आपको राइट है। लेकिन जेएनयू में कन्हैया कुमार ने जिस कैंपेन को लीड किया था, उस कैंपेन में कुछ लोगों ने ये साबित नहीं हो पाया कि वो स्लोगन्स किसने बोले थे। वो स्लोगन्स ऐसे थे, भारत तेरे टुकड़े होंगे इंशा अल्लाह इंशा अल्लाह। ओके, और एक स्लोगन उसमें था, उस पर्सन का नाम मुझे अभी याद नहीं आ रहा है, उसका नाम लेके वो बोलते हैं, तेरे कातिल हम शर्मिंदा है, तेरे कातिल जिंदा है। ओके हाँ, अफजल तेरे कातिल, अफजल हम शर्मिंदा है, तेरे कातिल जिंदा है, ऐसा कुछ तो। ओके, वो कहते हैं। तो ये स्लोगन इंडिया के इंटीग्रिटी को तोड़ने वाली है, इसलिए कोर्ट ने कन्हैया कुमार को वार्निंग दिया था कि आपको एक्सप्रेशन स्पीच देने का अधिकार है, लेकिन इसका मतलब ये बिल्कुल नहीं है कि आप इंडिया को तोड़ने वाले एक्सप्रेशन दोगे, इंडिया को तोड़ने वाले स्पीचेस दोगे। ओके, तो यहाँ पे आपको एक बात समझ में आएगी कि कोर्ट ने, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये जो फंडामेंटल राइट है उसको री इंटरप्रेट किया, उसका एग्जैक्टली मीनिंग क्या है वो उनको समझाया। सो दिस इज द right of the Supreme Court. Okay, so court has the authority to intervene between central and the state government if any conflict arises. So it can reinterpret the laws, and you must be knowing about it that once the president is elected, it is next to impossible to remove him. Definitely we have process for that. Impeachment is there by which we can remove president also, but it is very difficult. And throughout the history of India, of this independent India, 74 years, we have not removed any of the president. So same power is held by election commissioner also and by the chief justice of Supreme Court also. So they have such a tremendous power. So we can't remove them very easily. So in this way, you can see the court can control the tremendous power of executives and legislature. Clear? So in this way, these 4 points, they make India a federal country. So I hope this is very clear to you, and so that's why you can see there are levels of the courts. First Supreme Court, High Court, District Courts. Yes? So I hope till here everything is very clear to you. Next part of this lesson we will see in our next lecture. Till then, thank you so much. Have a nice day.